The FedProfits Association presents Thrive in the Recession through the power of no-bid contracts. And now, here's your host, Mr. Supercharged Profits himself, Ron Imbach.
Hello again, and welcome to our next episode of Thrive in a Recession through the power of no-bid contracts. I'm your host, Ron Imbach, Mr. Supercharged Profits. Okay, and if you haven't heard that, I'm getting to love that title more and more and more. So I'll probably say it more often. But the whole point of our show is to show you how you can increase your revenue, but in addition to increasing your revenue, also enhancing your profits. Because if you get more money, quite frankly, but more of it goes out in expenses and you're not more profitable, how much does that help you? Because we want to help you be profitable as well. But of course, we got to grow that revenue. So we're going to focus on that. I'm really excited today. Did I say really enough times? I'm really excited today to have Linda Fisk on the program. And Linda's a great person. I've known Linda probably 3 years now, I want to say, something like that. And Linda is the chair of LeadHERship Global, all right? And that is an organization that promotes female-owned businesses. And we're going to talk a little bit today about some of the work they do to help their members and to help just female-owned businesses in general. In addition to that, we're going to talk about how federal contracts can be a great way to diversify revenue streams, income streams for female-owned businesses. And there are some real nice advantages that the federal government has set up for female businesses. Linda, welcome. How are you?
Thank you so much, Ron. What a pleasure to be on your program. I am really excited to tell the story of how impactful it is to be involved in federal contracting as a way of diversifying revenue and really amping up your ability to not just win contracts, but win that revenue in a recurring basis.
Oh, recurring revenue. I hear a really cool theme for businesses out there. And what Linda was saying about that is so true, especially with federal contracts, because federal contracts, many of them are service contracts. And service contracts can be up to 5-year terms, and you can usually renew that 3 times. If you do the math there, that could be 20 years of cash flow from essentially one contract and one contact up front. How cool is that? How many other times do you find business that if I do a good job, I could be doing this for 20 years? That is so cool. So great point to start us off with. Linda, tell me just a little bit just to get us started, because you've been obviously involved in your own businesses and promoting businesses for many years. Could you just tell us a little bit about your background, and then we'll talk a little bit more about LeadHERship. And I always like to emphasize it that much, okay? LeadHERship Global. But let's get us started by finding a little bit about you.
Sure. Thank you so much. So I began my career in advertising and marketing. I was able to work with some of the biggest, most prestigious, and most successful advertising agencies in the nation at that time. And I feel like I received this absolute sort of master level course in how to position companies, how to message products and services in a way that helped people solve their pain points. I was able to identify which target audiences are best served with particular products and services, how to position those products, how to market those products. And so it was really a phenomenal basis for everything else in my career subsequent to that. After climbing the corporate ladder in advertising agencies in New York and Chicago and Dallas and Los Angeles, Chicago was probably my longest stint in advertising. And it was with some, again, remarkable agencies where I worked with incredible brand creators, people that were incredible experts at positioning brands, repositioning brands, creating brands. It was really incredible. And then I moved into corporate, where I began creating marketing groups and marketing departments on behalf of media. So I worked with Belo and Scripps and Viacom and a lot of different media corporations, building their entire marketing department, building their marketing foray into new platforms like the internet and social. So it was really an exciting time. And I think all of that led me to being able to help others build their businesses and really market their businesses successfully. So when I stepped into my own entrepreneurial journey, I recognized that I had quite a bit of teaching and training and skill and expertise and experience that might be useful to other women in leadership.
Wow, that really is an incredible background, Linda. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now, your big project now, what you're focused on is promoting women-owned businesses. Okay, and that's with LeadHERship, and I love the name. By the way, I'm sure you created that name, LeadHERship Global. Tell us a little bit about how you guys help women-owned businesses, the kind of things you provide, your membership, that type of thing, how long you've been doing it. Just give us a little bit of background on that, if you would.
I love that. So LeadHERship Global is an impactful community of pretty extraordinary women in leadership around the globe. These are women that run Fortune 500 companies, women that run very successful and global nonprofits, women that have begun their own entrepreneurial journey. And I believe that LeadHERship Global's comprehensive methodology is really designed to help unleash the potential of those women. So these are high-performing, growth-oriented leaders, and we provide a confidential, supportive, private community that allows leaders to get the kind of access to resources and tools and connections that they need to up-level their success. So members accelerate their own success by helping to define their vision, grow their leadership, expand their influence, and leave a lasting legacy. And we do that by really harnessing the knowledge, the influence, and the trust of these high-performing women to stimulate idea exchange, to support creativity, and to provide resources and tools that help accelerate both personal and professional growth. And we think that that has become a winning combination. We see women that have doubled the size of their business. They've expanded their network globally. They've entered into joint ventures. They've entered into partnerships. They've developed entirely new divisions of their company because of the connections, the resources, the tools, and the learning of LeadHERship Global.
Wow. Well, I can definitely put a recommendation in for any women out there who own their own business, female entrepreneurs. Definitely give some serious consideration to getting involved in the training, becoming a member, because obviously there's many benefits to it. So thank you for sharing that. Now, which kind of leads us to where we're going to focus the rest of our discussion on how federal contracts, because after all, Mr. Supercharged Profits, I got to talk about how we're going to grow revenue and how we're going to help businesses be more profitable. And women-owned businesses have some advantages with set-asides for the federal government. Most agencies that our company works with, the IAUSGC, the International Association of U.S. Government Contractors, and let's just say FedProfits, that'll make it not as much of a mouthful next time. The women-owned businesses that we work with, we tell them that's an incredible set-aside. And we've talked to many agency people. We have conferences with agency people. And quite frankly, that's one of the primary set-asides. Okay, we want to give a certain percentage of our contracts to women-owned businesses. Isn't that cool?
Okay? That is super cool.
You've got a definite, and I'd say that is the most common set-aside that we talk to our clients about getting, because we have a lot of clients, members of the association who are women-owned businesses. So just tell me a little bit about, because I mean, as soon as you and I started talking, you said, wow, there's such potential out there. Excuse me. There's such potential out there. So tell me a little bit about how you see that for your members and how it can really benefit them.
Yeah, I would say, Ron, that, in my perspective, women in business are a driving force in the U.S. economy. women-led entrepreneurs can create tremendous positive social change, helping women financially become empowered and independent, which trickles into not just the family system, but the community, the region, and the nation. And according to the U.S. Census Bureau, women entrepreneurs run about 42% of all American small businesses. That's nearly 13 million. That employs almost 10 million people, and it generates almost $2 trillion in revenue. So in fact, women started about 1,800 net new businesses every single day last year, and 64% of new women-owned businesses were started by women of color last year. And get this, Latina women-owned businesses grew more than 87%. But what we know is that with many of these new businesses, access to capital is incredibly difficult. We know that women do not receive access to capital at the same rates that men do. And while the number of women-owned businesses grew by 21% from 2015 to 2022, firms owned by women of color grew 43%, and African-American women-owned firms grew even faster at 50%. But again, access to capital is less than 2% for women-owned, women-operated businesses, and less than 1% for women of color who own or operate their businesses. So it's absolutely critical that women diversify their revenue streams and that they find ways of creating solid recurring revenue, and that they take advantage of being a women-owned business, that they leverage the advantage, the sustainable advantage, competitive advantage that they have being a women-owned business.
Wow. Some of those stats were incredible that you just gave. And, you know, I can honestly say, thinking about across the board, all the different members we have of the association, we're probably right around 40%, I'd say, are women-owned businesses. And of those 40%, I think every one of them we talk to about this incredible advantage they have as a women-owned business. And something you mentioned at the very beginning, let's talk a little bit about that as well, diversifying your income stream. Because we talk a lot about that, not just for women-owned businesses, but across the board for businesses, okay? Diversifying your income stream, because the great thing about the federal government, I know you know this, and I know we've talked about it, but you can actually recession-proof. Our main masterclass that we teach on this, a 2-hour class, and the title is Thrive in the Recession. Well, same title we have here, okay? Thrive in a Recession, okay? Thrive in a Recession. And the reason for that, and if you've heard our show before, you know this. But the reason for that is that the federal government, to try and pump money into the economy, they spend more during a recession. So when everyone else is beginning to cut back and maybe even slow pay and things like that, the federal government says, hey, we need to help small businesses. Tell us how you think that could really, really benefit your members.
You know, you nailed it. It's sort of, understanding the ebb and flow of business, understanding the macroeconomics, and safeguarding your company to ensure that your revenue streams are diversified sufficiently such that if one particular industry or one particular kind of client or customer begins to feel the effects of macroeconomic issues like recessions or stagflation, then you do have other revenue streams that are insulated from that same sort of dynamic. And as I noted with investing, investors poured $136 billion into startups and small businesses last year. Right. Yet women-led businesses captured just under 3% of those funds. And they're on track to fare even worse this year, according to the consulting firm PitchBook. And loan approval rates for female entrepreneurs is more than 20% less than it is for men. So if you can't get access to capital from banks and loan institutions, and you're unable to get access to capital through investors, you've got to find ways of safeguarding your business. And access to capital is absolutely crucial to any small business's growth trajectory. with so many capable, trustworthy businesswomen in this world, it's vital for society as a whole to ensure that women get equal chance to do great things. And that's where the government can step in. That's where ensuring that you have a pipeline of business through government contracts can help ensure that you're able to fare any kind of economic condition well.
As you say that, I'm thinking about a number of things. And, I was shocked to hear in, a number of different locations that until fairly recently, for women to get approved for a loan, their husband had to co-sign for that loan. I was shocked by that in this day and age. And this is not ancient history 50 years ago. It was fairly recently, and you probably know the dates much, much better than I do. But I was shocked by that. And I can tell you from someone I work with a lot of, and I always have worked with a lot of women-owned businesses. What you said about, as far as being successful and having the talent and the skills and look at yourself. I mean, they're just as qualified. And I think sometimes, not as a knock to all my male people in the audience out there, but sometimes the demeanor and sometimes the way they handle decision making in crises, I think can sometimes be better than men in a lot of different situations. So I guess I shouldn't say that about myself, but
there's a lot of research to back up what you just said. So that's
absolutely.
I love that. Black women own 1.5 million businesses in America that generate about $44 billion every year. But Black females obtain, get this, 0.2% of venture capital investment dollars. And we believe that that's both intentional as well as unintentional discrimination that limits access to women entrepreneurs' funding. So it's clear that a greater push needs to be made to break down these barriers. And I feel like you are giving women an opportunity to have access to reliable capital that maybe they won't find with investment firms, but that they can create. They can literally develop their own pathway to success. So investors, lenders, and other financial firms, I think, really do need greater education on the potential of women to improve the business world. But it is up to us as women to gain the necessary skills to not only ensure that financial firms understand our potential as women entrepreneurs, but that we create our own pathway to success by diversifying our revenue streams, safeguarding our business, and tapping into the dollars that have been reserved. They've been earmarked for women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses. And it seems remarkable to me that if you own a business, that you would not safeguard your business against any kind of economic situation by tapping into the dollars that have been reserved specifically for small businesses like yours.
Right. I couldn't have, in fact, I couldn't have stated, without a doubt, I couldn't have stated any better. So thank you for that. Well, and when you say that, and here's an incredible stat that we emphasize a lot with our members, there are 4,600 agencies in the federal government and sub-agencies. All of those, I mean, we're all familiar with the Defense Department. It's a multi-billion-dollar, as well as Homeland Security and others. But you can take the smallest agencies in the federal government, and they're still multi-million-dollar companies. So, Linda, like I said, thank you so much for being on here. Love chatting business with you. You're so bright and so knowledgeable, and I really appreciate that. And you've got a lot of enthusiasm, and I love that as well. So thank you. We'll have to have you on again. I would love to do
Ron,
that.
what a pleasure. It was my honor to be with you. And I got to tell you that the hope and the impact and the results that you're able to create for businesses that work for you, especially in my mind, the women-owned businesses that you work with that may feel like they've been turned away from every other opportunity, yet you provide hope, you provide process, you provide results, and you provide real lasting impact for those businesses. I am so grateful. I'm grateful for your services. I'm grateful for your partnership, and I'm grateful for the impact that you make for women all around the world. Thank you.
Well, super. Thank you so much. And yes, if any women-owned businesses don't feel they're welcome someplace, please come to the association. We'll welcome you with open arms. And quite frankly, relationships. You'll always hear me say that. And I know women are great at building relationships. If you do that with federal decision makers, you're going to do incredibly well with federal contracts. Anyway, thank you again, Linda. I appreciate it. And for everyone out there, thank you for joining us on the show again. We're Thrive in the Recession through the power of no bid contracts. We're on every week. We have a great, fascinating guest like Linda. Please check us out on any of your podcasts where you get your podcasts. We're going to be on each one of those. And if you want more information about FedProfits, which is the association, FedProfits, we've got a QR code on the screen that you can get all of our information. And now I'm going to let you go, but thank you so much for joining me again. I look forward to seeing you next week. For everyone on the program and Linda, I'm Ron Imbach, Mr. Supercharged Profits. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you for joining us on the Thrive in the Recession through the power of no bid contract show. If you want more information on no bid contracts, visit us at www.fedprofits.com. We hope that you will join Ron Imbach, Mr. Supercharged Profits, next time as we continue to explore how no-bid federal contracts can seriously grow your business. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts or visit the FedProfits YouTube channel. Until next time, have a prosperous week.